All right, Kevin Durant. He has talked to our friend Chris Haynes. He's talked about his trade request, his coaching frustrations, and much, much more. And that is right on time, fellas. Benny Goodwill and Tom Haberstroh. It's right on time because last night I saw something that is not usual in a regular season game, like not a regular season, regulation game. Brooklyn Nets gave up 153 points in regulation. Like, what the hell? And I was just about to say, Tom, I was yes, to the Kings, who were playing well. Okay, give it to them. But I was just about to say, man, Brooklyn is playing so hard. They're playing well for Jacques Vaughn. You ain't playing hard if you give up 153 points in regulation. What's going on with Brooklyn, Tom, and then Vinny? Talk to me about this. I just want to hear y'all talk about the Brooklyn Nets.
Man, I feel so bad for Chris Haynes because I know as a reporter, this kind of happens where you're like, you get in touch with a player, get in touch with a coach. You're like, I'm in town. Let's meet up after the game. Let's sit down for an interview and let's just get this all on the record. Let's do it. And the player, the coach, or whoever it is agrees to it. And then you go up and give up 153 points to the Sacramento Kings. And you're like, oh my God, this player, this coach is going to be in the worst mood, but this is my only shot. And Kevin Durant, he seemed completely honest and candid in this conversation with Chris Haynes. And he said, yeah, we lost, but I'm feeling good about the team, feeling good about the direction that Jacques Vaughn is going in, all that. But I don't know if you guys caught the Dave Chappelle SNL stand-up this past weekend.
Of course.
But
yes.
You remember he said there's a difference between things you can think and things you can say out loud. And Kevin Durant said the thing you cannot say out loud, which is, look at my starting lineup.
Yeah.
Edmund Sumner.
Look at my teammates.
Look at my
teammates. You expect me to win with these dudes?
You expect me to win? What do you expect? Like, Kevin Durant's absolutely right. He's absolutely correct. When you have a starting lineup that features those players, we can't expect them to win without Kevin Durant in uniform. And that's what he said. But this is the sort of thing that can rip up a locker room if they're not expecting it. If they don't know that's how you feel, this sort of thing can rip up a locker room. And to be honest, that locker room doesn't have much to rip up in the first place, considering what has transpired over the last couple years. So if you're those teammates looking at this report, looking at that quote, you got to be feeling a certain way. But he's right. And that's the thing about this team, is that every day there seems to be another headline, another quip, another moment on the court, another report that just has me thinking, man, this is the biggest soap opera. And I thought the Lakers could never be dethroned as the biggest soap opera in the NBA. But here we are.
Well, see, I tend to disagree a little bit. Because he said, look at the starting five. And you know two names he didn't say? He didn't mention their backup center or their starting point guard or their other starting point guard who's suspended. So if you're on a top-heavy team and you're missing two players who make a combined, $70-something million, the person you're going to put it on is the person making $40 million in Kevin Durant. I don't think he was bashing on the players that he has. He was telling the truth, but he was also saying, hey, this is why I didn't want to be here. Because even though Kyrie Irving is my boy, even though we traded James Harden for Ben Simmons, look around, y'all. In addition to the front office, in addition to the coaching staff, I'm going to throw this out to both of y'all, and y'all tell me what you think.
Okay.
Kevin Durant, because of the personnel moves, the perceived personnel moves, people believe Kevin Durant wanted it, easy. Go easy on me. Give me everything I want. What I heard was, yeah, give me what I want, but hold me to higher expectations. Coach me. Great players usually want to be coached. And I feel like that's been a miscalculation from the Brooklyn Nets. They took the front office strategy. They took Kevin Durant, the GM, and made him Kevin Durant, the player, And those are two totally different, separate entities. And I think that's been their biggest mistake as far as dealing with him and him wanting to get up out of there, which I think he still does want to get up out of there, especially when you name that starting five.
Well, it's a great point. Tom, do you think that, do you think there's a chance that Durant can be traded, say, by February? And two, I'm going to double barrel you. I know this is anti-Sawatsky. Don't ask two questions, ask one, but I'm going to ask two. So, one, will he be traded by February? Two, you think the Nets have handled him properly?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, when you're talking about Kevin Durant and the situation he left and the structure that he left in Golden State, my problem with his stance is that he wants harder coaching, that he wants more structure, that he wants practices. It does seem like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't run away from the Golden State Warriors and being part of a system and being part of a culture and being part of Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson and go build your own culture. Kenny Atkinson gone. The whole entire culture of the Brooklyn Nets gone. You got saddling up with Kyrie Irving, and now you're saying, I want to be coached harder. I want more of a system. I want more people pressuring me and holding me accountable. And that's where I have a problem with it, where it's like, man, it seems like no matter where the situation is, he's not happy with the coach or happy with the situation or his teammates. And so I don't know what team is going to be able to make him happy as a basketball player, because it seems like he went from one extreme to the other. And it doesn't seem like he knows exactly what he wants, because Steve Nash was portrayed as a Kevin Durant hire, that it was Kevin Durant who wanted someone from that organization, the Warriors organization that he had experience with, and wanted Steve Nash. And then it turns out, I actually want someone who coaches me harder. So take that to the next extension, which is like, okay, where would he be happy? Where would he be wanting to play? And I'm sure Kevin Durant can walk into Sean Marks' office right now and say, here are the teams that I want to go to. I don't know who that team is. I really don't. I'm looking. I mean, we talked about it last week, the Philadelphia 76ers as a possible landing spot for the Philadelphia 76ers. They have their own coaching situation at hand as well that are issues. So I do think that without Ime Udoka being hired, that to me sends a signal that this is not a long-term strategy, that this KD Kyrie partnership and the whole thing is a short-term thing. And if Kevin Durant wanted Ime Udoka and he didn't get Ime Udoka, then that sends a signal to Kevin Durant too, which is, man, this might not be a long-term partnership. So I do expect that they will try to make moves with Kevin Durant, but I don't know if they'll ever come to that right team, because the package and the unhappiness of like, we got to fulfill all his wish list in order to get him a trading partner. I just don't see that happening between now and February.
I think two things can be true. I think Kevin Durant could go from one extreme to the next, and we've all been through it. Sometimes you miss what you think you didn't really like, right? Or you wish you had it under different circumstances. And secondly, I think Kevin Durant wants to be held accountable on the floor, not off of it. I think he doesn't want to be asked questions about why couldn't you get Kyrie to take the vaccine, but still be viewed as a leader within the locker room and still be viewed as a leader on the floor. It sounds inconsistent, but when you look at it from when you silo it from a basketball perspective, and he's a basketball purist, I think he wants to be held accountable in that particular 94 by 55, surface, not necessarily the drama and everything else. And when you look at when he goes on Twitter and he talks about things, he's a technical basketball savant. And then he just sort of happens to dabble in the drama. You can want the reverse and just not get it. You can want the reverse and be wholly inconsistent or be consistently inconsistent, as Kevin Durant appears to be. Y'all ain't never had an ex-girlfriend that y'all thought was a little bit crazy and then was like, man, she wasn't so crazy. Or she was crazy. Man, I liked her calling every day. You know what I mean? This is what he wants.
Vinny, I didn't have any ex-girlfriends. My wife is my first girlfriend. So first.
Oh my God.
There we go.
So I just want to let you. It's just for the record. For the record.
Great answer.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
Answer. Excellent.
Okay.
Answer.
Okay, Vinny. Okay, Tom.
Yeah,
What that
he's the Tim Duncan of husbands, man. The first team that brought him into the league. He's for life. They don't.
Barry White, my
I'm
first,
gonna go
my
old
last,
school.
my everything.
I'm gonna go old school on you. I'm the AC Green of this thing.
Hey, okay. I don't know if that means the same thing as the metaphor you're making, but yeah. All right.
Oh my goodness.
How many kids you got, Michael
Hey,
Holley?
I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it.
No, before. I'm saying before. Anyway, let's talk about players. Let's talk about basketball players. All this said, at the beginning of the year, Kevin Durant probably, because Vinny, I want to get to the item you had in your feed, and I want you to expound on it, and I want Tom to weigh in on it. At the beginning of the year, we had our top 10 list, top 5 list. I don't know if John Morant was in your top 5. I don't know if Jason Tatum was in your top 5. But Vinny, Morant, is there anything you've seen from Morant that makes you say, "Ooh, wait a minute, got to go up a little bit more"? I knew he was good, I knew he was great, but maybe the greatness has exceeded my expectations.
It absolutely has exceeded my expectations. You almost look at him as a hybrid of maybe a Derrick Rose and an Allen Iverson and a Russell Westbrook, but he plays the game seemingly better. And I'm not saying he's a better player, but I think he plays the game better. He has a better feel for it. He has a better feel for, when to take over, when to score in spurts, when to use that athleticism. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the hits that he takes and everything else, and you're looking at it, you're like, man, we don't know how long he's going to play. But it seems like he has a much better feel for the pace and control of the game and when to exert his will on the game, even than those guys did.
To me, Vinny, the big thing I'm seeing this year from John Morant is the thing we keep talking about with Giannis, right? What if this dude adds a three-point shot? And that is what you're seeing from John Morant this year. He's raised his three-point percentage all the way up to 40%. He's taken 5 a game. And that's what every coach in the league is just, that keeps him up at night, is how do you defend a guy who is Russell Westbrook attacking at the rim, Derrick Rose, like you said, but can also pull up to a three-pointer off the dribble and shoot from downtown. And so we have this conversation every year with Joel Embiid or with Jokic or with Giannis Antetokounmpo bigs. But this dude attacks the rim like he's a big, and he has a three-point shot. He's way better than I expected in terms of his jump shot ability. That was his big issue coming out of college was, okay, we know he can get to the rim and he can fly, but can he add those nuances to his game that he can be more perimeter oriented? And he's showing it this year. So, I mean, look, he's averaging like 29 points a game this year, which seems like a lot, but I don't know if you've seen the scoring totals this year. Darius Garland with 50 plus. There are 8 players in the NBA that are averaging 30 a game. Like John Morant, good as he is, I'm just sitting here like, man, there's 8 dudes scoring at a higher clip in the NBA than John Morant at 29. That used to be good enough to be a scoring title. And so he is adding a three-point shot. He is averaging about 30 points a game. And it's just, man, what Luka's doing, what all these guys are doing, it just seems like they're all raising their level of offense. And it's an amazing thing to watch on a nightly basis. And Ja's he's special. But if he gets that three-point shot, man, the Memphis Grizzlies take another leap.
So fellas, can we go from elevated expectations to lowered expectations, lowered to such a degree that we're out of the NBA and into the G League? Now, I know, look, Golden State, I'm going to say this. Golden State, and you guys know this better than I do right now because you have been there more recently than I have. But they have elite media relations people. Elite. Like maybe the best in the league. They're incredible. They have a media-savvy organization. Steve Kerr used to work in media. Bob Myers used to be an agent. Like they just know how to frame a thing. So I'm going to tell you, that's a compliment, but I ain't buying it. They have framed this James Wiseman thing like, oh, this is great. The number 2 pick in the draft is going to the G League. The C-Dubs? You going to the C-Dubs, James Wiseman? And I'm supposed to say, this is good for you. You're going to get some playing time in the G League. And you're there indefinitely. Help me out here. They have frame this thing in such a positive way. I think it's not good. Tell me why it is good.
Look, it's not good, but look, man, the way that they can spin this is exactly the way that they spun it to Jordan Poole. You got to play every day. You haven't figured out the NBA game. We need to get you some reps. And Jordan Poole did it, and he became sixth man of the year, making $100 million in the league. So as much as I want to say this is spin, that you can't spin it any other way than they're sending the top 3 pick down to the G League because he just can't play. There is a precedent for this. You look at Jordan Poole, there are a bunch of players, Pascal Siakam, there are a bunch of players in the league that have gone down to the minors, so to speak, and come back and become a totally different player. My issue with James Wiseman is, all right, so let's say he becomes this, 20-10 monster in the G League, but he's still not playing like Golden State Warriors brand of basketball, and he still can't be out there at the league and play the kind of basketball that he wants. It's two different things. That's my concern, is that he can go and build up his confidence down there. But when I see him play basketball, James Wiseman this season, he has 4 blocks in the entire year. 4. He's 7 feet, as bigger than anybody on the floor, but he's as soft as they come in terms of making his presence felt. So I don't know how they're going to get that James Wiseman back from high school James Wiseman, the guy who played, I guess, 3 games at Memphis, how they get that James Wiseman back. But there is a precedent here, Holly, that they did it with Jordan Poole so they can lean on that. And Jordan Poole said all the right things. He's like, I want you to hang it on the rim. I want you to get text down there. I want you to get your swag back. And we'll see if that actually translates to on-court success, because I think he's better off doing this in another organization than it is in Golden State. I just don't think he has the oxygen to do it on that team.
I tend to agree, kind of. And here's what I mean. If you're talking about high school being the last vestige of a dominant James Wiseman, that means he hasn't played a lot of basketball since then. He needs to get in the mode of playing basketball every day and being able to be a dominant force every day, even if that's just practice. Because remember, nobody practices in the NBA anymore, right? Like there is no space for him to go against another body, bump and bang and do all these other things and to feel superior. That's when you talk about confidence, you're talking about feeling superior in a way to be able to use your gifts. Nobody's saying, at least not me, that he's Anthony Bennett, that he's a guy who was overdrafted, that he can't play or anything like that. I still think he's got some gifts that need to be worked out. But if you go in the G League, which plays the same way that Golden State plays, the same style, the same systems and everything else, and you find a way to be successful there without the glare of playing in the NBA, without the glare of Stephen Curry banging on you to come set this screen right now, or Draymond Green and everything else and all these other struggles, he can find something there. I think there is definitely something to positive reinforcement. Golden State has a lot of issues that have nothing to actually do with James Wiseman. The problem is all of those other things have a level of sweat equity and league equity that James Wiseman does not. So he's going to be the easy culprit when you say, man, they're struggling. They're minus, X amount of points per possessions while he's in the game. He's a problem. Very easier to bang on him than it is to bang on Draymond Green or to bang on Klay Thompson. The only player that's playing there worth a damn is Steph Curry. Everybody else is subject to all types of criticism right now.
Oh, well, stay right there, though. Stay right there, fellas. I want to get you, and this is the last thing, and then we'll go. But you talk about the number of issues with Golden State. I want to hear it because I kind of think one of them, I put this in the feed the other day, and we didn't get to it. Is one of the issues Klay Thompson in the starting lineup over Jordan Poole? Is that one of the issues?
I think really the conversation needs to be about Klay Thompson, period. He is a guy who's making $40 million this year and $40 million next year. He's shooting 35% from the floor. But more importantly, he's being picked on defensively in late game situations because he can't move laterally like he used to. He's not that lockdown defender that he used to. And in his mind, he is that guy. And that's what's so frustrating, I think, for Klay Thompson is he, in his mind, believes that he is still that guy, but his body, his legs are not reciprocating. And to me, I think that's what a lot of this issue is. Klay Thompson is Teflon. He is beloved in the media. Like, when you talk to that dude, you feel good as a human being a lot of times when you're in a locker room, or he's just great. And so to be hard on Klay Thompson, it doesn't feel great, but everyone needs to be held accountable, including Kevin Durant. And that is the same thing for Klay Thompson. He's a guy who's making $80 million over the next 2 seasons, using a lot of the cap, and he's just not playing up to his abilities as a 3-and-D guy that he used to be. And so it's a harsh reality. This is what happens when Father Time comes through. And I just hope he has another gear, because I love when Klay Thompson gets hot. I love when he's playing at a 25 points per game clip, but they need him to be that. I'm not so sure he's got that left in the tank.
I think when you consider the fact that he doesn't play basketball in the offseason, now he doesn't play basketball in the offseason because of the second injury, the Achilles injury that he suffered. I think it was on draft night in 2020. So he's easing himself into the season on top of playing deep into June last season. You don't know what type of basketball shape that he's in. And usually you wind up hearing about guys being better in that second year after coming back from a devastating injury rather than that first year. So you can give him a little bit of real estate, a little bit of grace. You're just hoping that grace and that real estate pays off, because if he's not a great starter on this unit playing next to Stephen Curry, I don't see how he's a great second unit guy where there isn't a Stephen Curry out there to draw a lot of attention on the ball and he can roam off the ball. It's going to have to be something that he works to. Remember, he went 2 years without playing, and they paid him max prices. Not to say that they expect that out of him now, but when you talk about teams having loyalty and everything else, if you start hearing his name on the back end of, hey, are we going to trade him or what are we going to do with him? You keep that front end in mind too.
Yeah, it's a good point. Hey, fellas, I could talk to you guys all day, but we got to go. We got to pay some bills. Loyalty, Vinny Goodwill. You know, we got to pay bills. They paid us. We got to pay them. We got to go back and forth. You know how it goes. But Tom Haberstroh, always good to talk to you, brother. Hope we can check in with you soon.
Got to get that green,
Appreciate
that
you,
AC green, right?
Got to get that AC green. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.